Yeah, I imagine that if a metaphysics could in some way guide us towards choosing the correct unification theory or like correct interpretation of quantum mechanics, that in some way, if the assumption is that there's some kind of metaphysical substrate, there's something that is, a deeper level than whatever that quantum field is, or even the quantum field is kind of modeled as that substrate in some way. If the metaphysics can suggest that, then it should in some way be able to suggest why, and that why might, or I would imagine could have the kind of details that I'm talking about in as well. Like I'm almost feeling like if the metaphysics suggests that level of clarification in that domain, but doesn't go to the extent of explaining the kind of mechanics of it in any particular way, that it might just be incomplete, or it's like we can get more details or something like that.
I sympathize with what you're saying, but like my thought is that that's beyond the scope of metaphysics proper. And like that's like an implication of the theory, the unpacking of which would be the domain of the special science in question. Like when you're sort of saying, so I'm like a physicist and I'm partial to such and such a metaphysics and this guides my intuitions. And so my investigation is sort of like this, and then you use that to discover that's just physics, right? That's not metaphysics anymore. And the job of unpacking those implications vis-a-vis any special science, I just see as not being part of the job of the metaphysical theory. There's that, all that should be implicit. The correct image should be implicit in the correct metaphysics, but it shouldn't specify the details. We have a field of knowledge for that, and it's called science.
Right. And I imagine that as a kind of requirements of the theory of everything that includes the kind of gut and the tongue, that we might try and unite those in the best way possible. And if science is sort of founded in certain practices that are incompatible with metaphysics, for example, empiricism, then, which I don't think it like specifically has to be. I think that's just kind of like a modern day trope almost. Possibly we can find the uniting factor. Otherwise, I feel like we've got this gut and this tongue, and they're almost like two distinct substances with nothing to unite.